The world's most feared warriors ran headfirst into something they could not explain. Not an enemy they could shoot. Not a firefight they could dominate. Something quieter. Something colder. Something so precise that it made legendary SEALs look loud. Rushed. Almost careless. This is not a story about bullets or body counts. This is the classified account of what happened when an unstoppable force collided with an immovable ghost. Picture this: a Navy SEAL account, man engineered for violence, frozen in absolute terror. Not because of the enemy, but because the soldier standing beside him simply vanished, without a sound. Who were the phantoms that taught America's elite a brutal truth, that in the jungle, speed equals death? What was the Green Zone incident, a near-fatal mistake buried so deep the History Channel never touched it? And what was the horrifying lesson that forced the SEALs to rewrite their doctrine from the ground up? Buckle up, we're tearing open sealed archives to expose a clash of philosophies the military wanted forgotten. You think you understand special forces? You down watch till the final second, because the secret revealed at the end didn't just change tactics. It changed modern warfare forever. Let's begin to understand the shock of this encounter. You have to rewind history and look into the DNA of two completely different war machines. United States Navy SEALs were born from chaos, forged in the fire and surf of World War II, descending from underwater demolition teams that blasted open beaches before invasions. Their identity was written in speed, aggression, and relentless momentum. Vietnam's Mekong Delta became their arena, a maze of rivers acting like highways, where ambush and withdrawal happened at lightning speed. The SEAL philosophy was simple and brutal. Strike first, strike hard, move faster than fear itself. Speed wasn't just a tactic, it was a weapon. But that same explosive energy became a liability inside the triple canopy jungles of South Vietnam. Visibility collapsed to a few meters. Sound traveled for miles. One careless movement could echo like a gunshot, and that's where the Australians entered the story. The Australian SAS came from a different lineage entirely. Their roots traced back to long-range desert patrols in North Africa, then to counterinsurgency wars in Malaya and Borneo, places where survival depended not on aggression, but invisibility. They didn't punch through enemy territory. They dissolved into it. They avoided firefights. If they fired, it meant the fight was already over. Their doctrine wasn't about assault. It was about absence. Disappear. Observe. Record. Neutralize only if absolutely unavoidable. Then vanish again. Silence wasn't a trick to them. It was law. So when these two elite forces began sharing patrol zones, the culture shock was immediate and profound. The SEALs moved in heavy teams of 6 to 8, built to dominate any contact. The SAS rarely exceeded 5 men, gambling everything on stealth and precision. Americans carried suppressed M16s, M60 machine guns, even shotguns walking arsenals. Australians favored L1A1 rifles, heavy 7.62 stopping power, and could patrol for a week without firing a single round. Communication revealed everything. SEALs used radios constantly, updates, checks, coordination. SAS operators often left radios off entirely, speaking only through hand signals, or not at all. One American team leader recalled his first night with the Australians. When watch rotation time came, the Aussies simply lay still. No sentry, no movement. When asked who was on guard, the patrol commander whispered, "All of us." They weren't sleeping. They were listening. The jungle was their alarm system. Where SEALs saw initiative, CS saw exposure. Where Americans valued momentum, Australians demanded control through absolute stillness. And in the real jungle, not the rivers, the stillness won. This wasn't about who was better. It was about realizing they were fighting two different wars in the same place. One raced across water. The other hid inside trees. Fire and ice. Speed and patience. And from that realization came something rare: mutual respect and a quiet exchange of deadly knowledge. When joint patrols were finally approved, professionalism was expected. What no one expected was the silence. The insertion was clean. Weapons checked. Comes clear. But less than 200 meters into the jungle, everything felt wrong. The Australians didn't talk. Didn't point. Didn't scan frantically. They moved slowly, deliberately, like ghosts retracing a path they'd walked 100 times. Gear padded. Metal taped. No sound. Then came a faint rustle ahead. The SEAL point man froze. Signaled halt. He turned back. The Australians were gone. Not moved, vanished. Flat against the earth, invisible. One had melted behind roots so perfectly, the SEAL had to squint to find him. The patrol waited. 10 minutes, 20, 30. Sweat-burned eyes. Mosquitoes fed. No one moved. After nearly an hour, the SEAL leader whispered a question. The Australian commander didn't turn. Didn't blink. If they haven't seen us yet, he whispered, they won't. This wasn't waiting. This was becoming nothing. By day's end, the Americans began seeing the art behind the madness. Movements timed with wind. Freezing when birds stopped singing. Bodies angled to break outlines. Nothing was random. One SEAL said later, they didn't move fast, but they never stopped moving. Like fog. No shots fired. No contact. Just intelligence gathered and a clean withdrawal. The SEALs entered as equals. They left as students. The next lesson came at a riverbank. The SEALs. Water meant speed. Cross fast. Secure the bank. Push inland. But the Australian point man stopped them cold. Instead of exiting, he pointed upstream. They would wade 300 meters submerged to their necks. The Americans hated it, but followed. For 45 minutes they fought current, leeches, panic. Finally, they exited on rock. No footprints. 50-5 minutes later, Viet Cong trackers arrived at the original exit point. With dogs. Wet clay. Scent trails. Certain death. The lesson landed hard. One footprint can kill you. From that moment, ego died. Learning began. Movement slowed to a crawl. 1 hour to cover 10 meters. Boots rolled carefully. Bushes slipped through, not pushed. Then came stillness. One night, lying in ambush, no sentries. Just statues. Hours passed. Insects fed. No movement. At dawn, enemy soldiers walked into the kill zone 15 meters away. Seconds later, it was over. Then came signature control. Tape on metal. Mud on zippers. No soap. No shaving. Cold food only. Finally, restraint. 3 enemy scouts appeared. A SEAL raised his rifle. An SAS corporal gently pushed it down. We need the rest, he whispered. 30 minutes later, 100 soldiers followed. Logic over impulse. But the most terrifying lesson came in the green zone. A navigational error. 300 meters. They were already inside an enemy base. Hammocks. Dozens. Hundreds sleeping around them. Outnumbered. 50 to 1. The SEAL instinct screamed to open fire. The machine gun came up. An Australian hand stopped it. Backward, slowly, 4 hours. 200 meters. Stepping into the same footprints. A SEAL frozen with a foot in the air as an enemy brushed his boot. Breathing controlled. Heart slowed. They escaped without a sound. When they reached safety, hardened SEALs collapsed shaking, broken by adrenaline. That night taught them the final truth. Sometimes the deadliest move is doing nothing at all.